All right, let's get right into this because it's a paradox that drives so many of us crazy. Why is it that some of the sharpest, most ambitious people out there can get completely stuck on the absolute simplest tasks? It's a huge struggle, and I'm telling you, the psychology behind it is probably not what you think at all.
I mean, does this feel familiar? That one little email, you know the one, the chore that would take what, 5 minutes? But it just sits on your to do list, staring at you for days, maybe even weeks. You'll happily spend hours diving into a super complex project, but you just can't bring yourself to do the easy thing. It's maddening, right?
And of course, you beat yourself up about it. You call yourself lazy, undisciplined, you name it. But here's the thing. What if that's completely wrong? The reality, according to the research, is that this kind of procrastination isn't a flaw. It's actually a direct byproduct of a highly intelligent, high-functioning brain. So let's unpack the real reasons this is happening. Okay, reason number one, your brain absolutely positively hates being bored. And we're not talking about willpower here. This is pure brain chemistry. For a really active mind, simple, repetitive tasks don't just feel dull, they can feel genuinely, physically impossible to do. And to get why, you gotta understand this one little neurochemical, dopamine. We call it the pleasure chemical, but it's really more about motivation. It's the reward your brain gets when it faces something new, something challenging. It's that little buzz you get when you're figuring something out, that aha moment. So when a task is simple, predictable, totally repetitive, like filling out a form or sending that basic reply, there's zero challenge. There's no novelty. Your brain sees right through it, and because of that, you don't get that hit of dopamine. The whole reward system just doesn't even power on. And for a brain that's wired for stimulation, this isn't just a neutral feeling. It's actually described as being mentally painful. Your brain is literally starving for challenge. So your motivation doesn't just dip a little bit, it completely vanishes because your brain is actively trying to escape that understimulated state. And this quote just nails it. Your mind isn't looking for the easy way out, it's looking for something interesting, something to chew on. Without that complexity or that challenge, it just checks out. It's almost like a self-preservation thing, to save its energy for something that's actually worth the effort. Now, let's move on to our second reason, which builds right on top of this. Let's call it the ambition filter. See, this isn't about avoiding work. It's about your brain being an incredibly smart and incredibly picky investor of its most precious resource, your mental energy. So behind the scenes, for every single task you think about doing, your brain is running this rapid, subconscious calculation. It's asking itself, okay, is the amount of brain power I'm about to spend on this worth the reward I'm going to get back? And this is exactly where that filter kicks in. When it looks at low-reward tasks, daily chores, simple emails, things that feel totally disconnected from your big goals, the answer to that question is a hard no, and your motivation just tanks. But for the high-reward stuff, like solving a complex problem or mapping out a big future project, your brain gets fired up, your motivation surges. You're not lazy, you're just wired for what matters to you. Exactly. It's not the work you're resisting. It's the work that feels like a total waste of your cognitive horsepower. Your ambition is pointed at the future, so if a task doesn't clearly pave a path to that future, your brain just flags it as inefficient and puts up a massive wall of resistance. And that brings us to the third and maybe the most ironic reason of all, the perfectionist's paralysis. This is where your high standards, the very thing that helps you do amazing work, flips around and becomes the very thing that stops you from even getting started. Just think about it for a second. Your mind can paint this incredibly vivid, high-definition picture of the perfect result. That's a gift, but it also means the gap between that amazing ideal in your head and the messy reality of starting from scratch can feel enormous. It's intimidating. Every first step feels flawed before you even take it. And this kicks off a really vicious cycle. You see the perfect version, right? Then you get scared of not living up to it. So you delay the task to avoid that feeling of failure. And then, of course, you beat yourself up for procrastinating, which just adds more pressure and makes it even harder to start. It's this frustrating loop that's born from being able to see what's truly possible. And if you remember one thing, let it be this. Your procrastination isn't a sign that you don't care. It's a sign that you care so much about doing it right. Your brain tricks you into thinking that it's safer to wait for the perfect moment to start rather than just starting imperfectly right now. So where does all this leave us? What's the big takeaway? Well, it's time to completely reframe this whole thing. Instead of seeing this tendency to procrastinate on simple stuff as some kind of personal flaw you need to fix, what if you started treating it as a built-in feature of how your brain operates?
Let's just recap real quick. Your brain isn't broken. It just has very specific needs. It requires complexity to stay engaged. Your ambition isn't lazy. It's a filter that saves your energy for meaningful work. And your high standards aren't a problem. They're what push you toward excellence. See? These aren't weaknesses. They're actually the hallmarks of a high-functioning mind.
So the next time you find yourself avoiding that 5-minute task, just pause. Give yourself a little bit of grace and tell yourself this: you are not broken. You are not undisciplined. You're just wired differently. And that's really the bottom line. This isn't about brute force or trying to have more willpower. It's about understanding what your brain truly needs to get in gear. And what it needs is a genuine sense of meaning, a worthy challenge, and a clear connection to your bigger goals. So I'll leave you with a question to think about. Now that you get the why behind all this, what if the next step isn't to fight it, but to actually work with it? If this isn't a flaw, how can you start leveraging this need for meaning and complexity and turn your procrastination into a genuine strength?